Good morning. It's so wonderful to be able to say that and have voices come back at you. That's great. So, again, good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Reading in-person and virtual worship service. My name is Rob Craig Coleman. I'm a member of the worship arts team and my pronouns are he and him. Today we gather in an understanding and welcoming environment where we nurture and explore individual spirituality, work to build a committed and loving community, and to help heal our fragile community and world. Whoever you are, wherever you're from, whoever you love, whatever your faith, tradition, or spiritual perspective, you are welcome here. If this is your first time with us, I want to extend a special welcome to you. If you haven't already, please look at our webpage for more information about UUCR. Here you can find details about our community, sign up for the weekly newsletter, and find contact information for Melissa Martin, our Member Services Coordinator, who can answer any and all of your questions. If you're watching this service during its initial broadcast at 10 a.m. on June 12th, please join us after the service for small group conversations via Zoom. This is a great way to keep connected and to check in with others within our church community. The link to this Zoom meeting can be found in the weekly UUCR newsletter. If you're here in person, please stay after for a social hour. Just follow the crowd through the doors to my right. Now, over 2 years ago, we began a tradition called Share the Plate as a spiritual practice in which we give half of each Sunday's collection to a nonprofit organization that shares our UU values. We do this not because we have more than we need, but because there is so much need. And this is a simple yet powerful way for each of us to live out our mission to heal the world. Through this practice, we learn about and support the good works of charitable organizations and become at least a bit more involved in our community. Our Share the Plate recipient for the month of June is Young Adult Revival Network called YARN. YARN is the only Unitarian Universalist organization focused solely on ministering to young adults. For more information about YARN, you can go to their website, www.uuyarn.org. If you're watching online and want to donate, go to our website and click on Donate in the red menu bar near the top of the homepage. If you're here in person, there will be a collection later in the service. And now, on behalf of all the staff and volunteers involved in today's worship, I want to thank you for being with us this morning, physically or virtually. We believe that you belong here. We believe that you belong here maybe just for the next hour, though we hope for longer. You belong here, and we give thanks that you are joining with us today.
Thank you, Rob. I'm Deborah Weiner, your Transitional Ministry Associate. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. Welcome. Our opening words this morning are adapted from the writings of Sean Parker Dennison. To invoke love is to ask for a hug from a thunderstorm. Spill tea in the lap of the infinite trickster. To make the biggest, most embarrassing mistake of your life in front of everyone who matters. To invoke love is to allow for the possibility that your words and actions become so empowered that you can no longer believe in apathy or the self-righteous idea that nothing can change. To invoke love is to guard against assumptions, take care with our words, and practice forgiveness, not as the ethereal ideal, but right here in the messy midst of our imperfect lives. To invoke love is to be ready to become love, here, now, in everything we do. Are you ready? I'd like to invite Astrid and Katie to come forward to light our chalice.
In the light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment, we gathered this day. May the flame we now kindle be to us a symbol of the holiness we seek. We are Unitarian Universalists, the Church of the open mind, the loving heart, and helping hands.
Ooh, we've got a baby. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mary Cunningham, the music director here at UUCR. My pronouns are she and her, and I am delighted to welcome you here on this fine June morning to worship and to sing. You please rise in body or spirit to sing our opening hymn, For All That Is Our Life. It's 128 in your hymnal, but if you know the melody well enough, you can just use the words that are in the order of service.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sally Lieberman, the Director of Lifespan Religious Education here at UUCR, and my pronouns are she and her. And I welcome Astrid to this moment when we are lighting our candle of community and getting ready to settle into the reflective part of our service. Today we are celebrating milestones. And milestone is a word that reminds us that folks used to place stones along pathways to mark their miles, to actually mark their travels. And today we are marking some milestones. Well, we are here today, and while we are out in our lives, people are growing and changing all the time. This springtime, this year, marks a milestone in the lives of some of the children who have been part of this church community. In this year of 2022, a group of youth who played and learned here are bridging from their youth to their young adulthood. Today, as we light our candle of community, I'm going to call the names of these young folks and ask that we think of them and their families. Not everybody will remember who we are calling because this is a fluid, changing community, but many of us will. You might remember where you first saw these children, where you crossed paths with them, maybe here in the sanctuary, sitting in a pew or lighting a chalice, in a classroom or a youth group, an owl class, maybe at social hour. Maybe you saw them on the playground, maybe you played with them, maybe you sang with them. Do you remember them from a living nativity, or from setting up or shopping or cooking at the fair? We call their names with fondness, these children who bridge this year from childhood into the young adult chapters of their lives. Evie Howell, Catherine McGregor, Katie O'Neill, Miles Sobchak. Our tradition looks different this year. Each year is different. Next year will be different too. In Unitarian Universalism, the bridging ritual is one that is celebrated all over the country, often this very morning, a time that churches welcome their young adults into the adult realm of community. So today, collectively, we imagine a bridge, a lovely path built by loved ones and trusted caregivers and teachers of all ages for children to cross into adulthood. We hold in our hearts the families of these dear young people as they let go and as they all create new homes of the heart where their connections, we pray, remain strong and true. Ours truly is a community of memory and hope, where every individual presence leaves a lasting imprint. Today we honor our young, and we remember all who came before them, and we hold the door for all who will follow. And there's yet another milestone we mark today too. Today is Katie's last day preaching as our ministerial intern. So let's have a chat with her up front and find out what she's going to do next. This is the time in our service we call Time for All Ages, so anybody who would like to come up front for a chancel chat with Katie is welcome to come up front now.
Just realized this is the first time I'm talking during the service. So for anybody who doesn't know me, I'm Katie McWage-Lucas, and my pronouns are she and hers, and I've been the student minister, the ministerial intern here for almost, not quite, but almost 2 years.
Katie, we have been together a lot the last 2 years, and I can't believe we got to this milestone, and here we are sitting on the steps. Because had it been like old times, when you first joined us, we would have sat on these steps and said hello. But instead, we said hello via Zoom. And you and I spent a lot of time together on Zoom with children and youth and adults. And sometimes it was fun, and sometimes it was sad, sometimes it was happy. Do you have any special memories from our Zoom times together you'd like to share?
So even though being on Zoom was strange and a little bit hard, my favorite thing was kind of getting these little snapshots into people's lives. Sometimes whole families would be on one screen, so I would know who went together, and I would see people's cats and dogs, and I would see the background and get to see what people's homes were like. And those are things I wouldn't have seen just meeting you all in church.
So I introduced you as our ministerial intern. You reminded us and introduced yourself as our ministerial intern, which means you have been a student with us, learning all about churching and being together in church community and being a spiritual leader. Can you tell us some of the things you've learned with us here?
Well, obviously, I had to learn a lot about Zoom and about technology. But I think what I really learned the most about was about working together and the teamwork and the collaboration that makes not just Sunday morning happen, but all of the other stuff that maybe you don't see if you're not super active and involved in the leadership of the church. There's just so many little pieces that happen all week long and all month long and all year long to just keep everything ticking along. And we do all of it together.
Yeah, we learned a lot together, and it's really been such a wonderful experience to do so much of this with you and everybody else who's part of this community. So Katie, what do you think you're going to do next? Today's your last day preaching, and you're our intern. What does happen next?
So my internship ends when the church year ends. But when we downshift into low-key summertime, I get to stay for a little while longer and do some summer worship with you all. But what's next, as in after my time here in the Reading Church, there's naps. That's totally on my list. But I also have to study and read and write and do a lot of things, because my next step is to go up in front of a group of people, and they will interview me and ask me questions and decide if I'm ready to be a minister. And it's been a lot to juggle, so I put off that interview just a little bit so that I'd have time to get ready for it. And so that's what's next for me. And fingers crossed, if all goes well, I'll be ordained and I'll be looking for a church of my own.
Yay for all of that. Especially the naps. Yes, you are modeling well, Katie. So, not to put you on the spot, but do you have any favorite happy memories you're going to keep in your heart when you think about UUCR?
So even now, I was reminded of this just yesterday, even now I'm still meeting people in person for the very first time. And I'm hugging people for the very first time, people that maybe I've known the whole time I've been here, but I'm still having these moments of finally being able to be in the same space with people and touch them and be with them. And one thing that I don't think I will ever forget was the first time we made live music here in this building again, and I could feel, the floorboards vibrating with sound for the first time, and I don't know how long it had been. And I'm gonna treasure that, because that's one of those things that I knew it was something I loved about church, but I didn't know how deeply I needed it until I didn't have it for a year or however long it was.
Yay. So today is a day of marking milestones. We've called the names of the children who grew up here, who are transitioning into young adulthood today, or this season, sometime this year. And we're marking your final time in the preaching role here, and you are on the threshold. And as we're marking milestones, we realize that we are a milestone for you. And we hope that we are a stone that lives deep in your heart. And Katie, because you are on a pathway, much like a bridge, we share with you a blessing that we share with people standing on thresholds, people of all ages. We have loved learning and churching with you. You have brought your kindness and your courage and your compassion to all the moments, all of them. We have trusted you, and you have been there with us through very difficult times, and now through very happy celebratory times. You've said hello to people with us, and you've said goodbye to people with us, and we thank you. We share with you a blessing that we share with many dear ones. For Katie, may you explore as widely as you wish. May you always know how to find home. May you be guided by curiosity, compassion, and your sense of justice. May you take good care of your spirit and ask for help when you need it. And most of all, may you be open yourself to love abundant and offer your love freely to those around you. We offer you great blessings on your journey. We're making you a present today, and you're not going to get it till next week. So, right now, we can all go back to our seats, holding blessings for Katie in our hearts, and we'll leave after prayer time.
Thank you so much. Boy, is it fun to celebrate things. I want to invite our congregation president, Lorraine Dennis, up here to the chancel to begin a celebration of our wonderful ministerial intern. Lorraine.
Feels good to have my mask off. Thank you for that. Good morning. I am delighted to introduce UUCR's Intern Committee and invite them to come up and join us on the chancel. Laura Cavicchio is the chair, Rob Craig Coman, Nancy Nienhaus, Dakota Rain, and Janae Tishy. You may know that this church has been a teaching congregation for many years. It is our honor to participate in the formation of a Unitarian Universalist minister. It is our duty to assist our interns in creating fulfilling learning service agreements that prepares them well for ministry. The Intern Committee meets monthly and assists the intern with feedback, nurturing, advice, ideas, and performance evaluations. Most of our interns serve half-time internships for 2 years. Serving on the Intern Committee is interesting and offers the opportunity to make a difference in the life and ministry of a seminarian. Please contact me if you might be interested in serving. Now, Laura Cavicchio will lead us in our goodbye to Katie.
Yes, today we are celebrating Katie, and we may embarrass you just a little bit more for good reason. As the members of our UUCR Intern Committee, Katie, we met monthly together. We loved getting to know you, supporting you, affirming you, asking questions, listening a lot, and giving guidance just when you asked for it. Our biggest task was to compile and write a highly comprehensive UUA required final evaluation, which is true of every single intern that goes through this church. And it covers 7 tasks of ministry. So to this end, we engaged in a shared process to distill our own discernment of your ministry, and we talked to a lot of folks about you and your impact on the congregation. And here's a comment we got. Katie is a rock star. And we heard that one a lot. We got lots of feedback affirming your calming pastoral presence, emotional maturity, how real and grounded you are, your intentionality around inclusivity, your well-drafted and delivered sermons, your natural style in the pulpit, and your ability to connect and move us, whether on Zoom or in person. And you brought folks back to church, you brought folks in the door. People told us that with you they felt seen and heard, they broadened their UU views, and they felt more drawn into our community. And we have to add that Katie's ministry is especially remarkable given that in these past 2 years, our congregation was hit hard by a pandemic on the outside and disruption and conflict inside. This was an internship of heavy lifting and persistent change, and Katie weathered it all, stepped up, and rose to be a light in worship and in her ministerial relationships with congregants and staff. Our Intern Committee's 12-page evaluation ends with this statement: she has been an anchor in our storm. So, Katie, it has been said that you will make a wonderful minister. You already are. And today, we give you a gift of gratitude for the gift that you are to us.
You're allowed to speak.
Yeah, you're allowed to open it. So today we honor you and your ministry. We're happy that this is not goodbye, that you are staying to design and offer summer worship with us.
You got the bag? Oh, do we want to
Yeah, give it a try.
try not to do it too loud and deafen you all? Ooh.
So we're thinking that this beautiful Buddhist singing bowl may, given on behalf of all of us, by the way, will inspire and sustain your personal spiritual practice, but also be a deepening for worship in the future or wherever you may go in your ministry. And we wish you much love and blessings.
Isn't hugging great? Okay, so we're gonna, can everybody hear me? Okay, so I want to invite Deb and Sally up and Melissa up, and we are gonna do a laying on of hands as the Intern Committee and Governing Board President and staff to send Katie on her way. So please, everybody, if you would grab some part of Katie that you can. Okay, we good? Oh, yep, Mary, thank you for coming up. Okay. Now, Katie, as we send you forth on your journey into ministry, may your preaching continue to be powerful. May your wisdom guide you for all that you care for in the future. And may your wonderful compassion be for you a constant companion in your care for others. And please know that you will be in the hearts of the Intern Committee and the staff who have worked with you and all of us wherever you go. May it be so, and amen.
I'll just say it. I chose the song "This Little Light of Mine" because I believe these interns do have a light that they share with us. Okay. We'll be singing "This Little Light of Mine." The choir will, and if you'd like to sing along, and I'd love you to clap along at the end, I'll turn to you. But thank you, Katie, for the light that you have brought to our congregation. It's been a joy to work with you these past 2 years. So here we go.
I love that. Celebrations are awesome, aren't they? Absolutely. So now we have another one. How good is this? It is time to officially welcome UUCR's newest member, Andrea Briscoe. So Andrea, may I invite you to come up? And we're going to give you your own microphone, okay? And Mary and Melissa, here we go. And Mary, come on right up here. And Lorraine. Yeah, good.
This congregation is pleased to name and honor our newest members and their decision to join our church community. This morning, we will welcome Andrea Briscoe and celebrate their commitment to this congregation as their spiritual home. So Andrea has already joined us, and we will proceed. Thank you.
Andrea, hi. You've been raised in the UU tradition, and so you may already know that Unitarian Universalist congregations uphold our commitment to congregational polity, meaning that the congregation, not some hierarchy or diocese, is in charge. Through our covenant with one another and our affirmation that we are members of this congregation, we exercise our influence, authority, and in shaping the congregation. Part of what that means is that on this day, you not only join those members present in this room and online, but those who have come before you over many years, who have also shaped and influenced this congregation. Together, this congregation's members are responsible for each other and for the continuing health and vitality of this religious community.
Andrea, it is a joy to welcome you into this community of memory and hope. Will you be with us, sharing the joys and the responsibilities of membership? If so, please say, I will.
I will.
Woo-hoo. Melissa.
Try it again. I will.
I invite us to welcome our newest member by sharing in the words found in your order of service.
In this Unitarian
Universalist congregation, we come together as a community of individuals from many different backgrounds and varied interests, ideals, needs, and hopes. Together, we are united in our quest for spiritual rich and abundant life.
I believe that each of us is unique, and we will each bring our own gifts and beloved differences to this congregation to enrich our community. I recognize that no one is alone, for we all need the support and concern of friends who seek the same goals.
We affirm our commitment to build a church community that will be rich and rewarding, one where each person will have the opportunity and the inspiration to grow.
I commit to bring my gifts to build a religious community sensitive to human needs, deepened by understanding, encouraged to think, feel, share, and together to build our common good.
In this spirit, we are invited to read together our mission statement. The Unitarian Universalist Church of Reading is a welcoming place to nurture and explore individual spirituality, build a committed and loving community, heal the world. Andrea, in recognition of this moment, we want to present you with two gifts.
I get a present?
You get two presents, which you may be familiar with. This first is the book Becoming, a spiritual guide for navigating adulthood appropriate for any young adult, I think. There.
Thank you.
And this yellow rose, a little spicy, but no thorns. We hope that it will provide you with inspiration and beauty as you go forward in this commitment to this saving Unitarian Universalist Church. I think applause is appropriate. It's a good day, friends. I invite you now to pause as we enter a time of prayer and meditation. First, I want to share this update from our community. Nikki and Don Getz have shared that they are happy to report that Kaylee had eye surgery this past Wednesday. She is recovering and on the mend, and they say, we are thrilled that we've already noticed some improvement and she's doing very well. More good news. Friends, please join now in meditation with these words, which are adapted from the writing of Kendall Gibbons. Dear friend, beautiful stranger, elder with wisdom, child of love, sibling of truth. Wherever you next journey, may you go with courage upon the path of life that lies before you. I pray you keep a pure heart, a free mind, a steadfast will, and a joyous song for the journey. May you be simple in your desires, loyal in your friendships, and strong in all tribulation. Be proud of who you are and serve the highest good you may find and the values of this faith with devotion. May life in this community and in the wider world reward you with fruitful happiness. And may you never forget the ideals held by this congregation and our faith community, to which you have pledged yourself in these sweet days of passage and commencement. Carried forward by the fullness of love with which you are here surrounded and blessed, may it be so. And amen. Friends, I invite you now to feel free to come forward and light a candle of joy, sorrow, celebration, or sadness as music fills this space.
Our reading today is entitled Community. It was written by Starhawk, and she says, "Somewhere there are people to whom we can speak with passion without having the words catch in our throats. Somewhere a circle of hands will open to receive us. Eyes will light up as we enter. Voices will celebrate with us whenever we come into our own power." Community means strength that joins our strength to do the work that needs to be done, arms to hold us up when we falter. A circle of healing, a circle of friends, some place where we can be free.
I'm gonna just preemptively get a tissue, just to be ready. I'm usually not too emotional up here, but this has been a rather emotional morning. So, like not everyone in the room, but like many of us in the room, I came to Unitarian Universalism as an adult rather than being raised within it. And I think, like a lot of us, when I talk about it, when I tell the story, it's a story about coming home. And I'm talking about finding my people. I'm talking about discovering the place I'd been longing for without ever fully realizing it. And so for me, finding my home congregation felt like finding rest at the end of a journey. And now I can put down roots, I said. I have found where I belong. But realizing you want to become a minister is a funny thing. It's to love a thing in a place so much that one packs up and leaves it to go on yet another journey. Wanting to become a minister is to fall in love so hard and so fast that the very idea of home changes and broadens, pushing me to become a seeker again in a way, to go out once again into the unknown. And so off I went to seminary and to a hospital internship, and then here. And now I've graduated twice. And soon it's going to be time for me to go. And when a minister goes, they have to make space for someone new to come. And they can't leave behind any bits and pieces of personality or connection that might get in the way. And while UU ministers might not rove and wander the way the Methodists once did, we're not as likely to linger for decades as we once were. And so we transplant ourselves over the course of our careers and our lives, perhaps not that much more so than any other profession, but still, one of the last lessons for an intern is how to say goodbye. And I haven't entirely left yet. I still have one foot in the door. But by the time you all regather in September, I will have left. I have not ever actually used my office, seeing as how we weren't even really in the building until this spring. So I don't have much in the way of physical packing of things to do. But there is that element of thinking about what I will take with me, what lessons, what stories, and what things I have to release and I have to let go. I can carry what I learned, and I will carry all of you in my heart and in my memory, but I won't be able to carry forward all of the ongoing care and relationships of our time here together. And I am fortunate that when I set off on another journey, I found another place that felt like home, a place where I felt welcomed and affirmed in my call, but also just as me, as a person. And I know not every intern is quite that lucky. So I do want you to know how blessed I have been in my time here with you. Because even amid all of the pressures and the stressors of the last 2 years, there's been one solid, steady constant, and that's love. It's been the safety net that allowed us to treat one another with a little bit of extra grace and gentleness in hard times. Love is the thing that I sensed when I first walked in the door of a UU congregation at all. And it's what I found here too. The sensation of being held in care by people I was only just meeting and only just starting to get to know. The hospitality and the generosity of this community just bubbles up naturally out of your love. And I've been held in love by the marvelous collaborators and colleagues I've had here, Deb and Sally in the other room, and Melissa and Mary, and Trevor's not here, but I feel some affection from you too. The choir, every person on the worship arts team, now or in the past. I've been held in love by my incredible intern committee and by so many of the other lay leaders and the board and other committees, but also just by people who wanted to chat and who checked in and said, "How are you doing today?" And I'm grateful for every single moment that I've had here, even the hard ones, because that's what made the love such a precious gift. And so I may have to cut ties, but since I've grown and I've changed so much in my time here, all of you have become a part of me. And I know that every intern before me carries that love with them because they have told me so. And I know that I'll be carrying it too. This has not exactly been a standard internship. It didn't neatly follow a plan from start to finish. There have been a lot of surprises along the way. Plans have been revised, paths have been rerouted. And in a part-time internship of 2 years, even in ordinary times, there's not enough time to do every single thing that an intern wants to do, to accomplish all of the things that feel right and good. And I do think the gap between what I imagined and what we all ended up doing together might have been a little wider than it would have been in other times, the contrast a little bit sharper. But even with all the wishes and the might have beens and the what ifs, there were so many oh wow moments where I was able to do things I'd never expected, and there were challenges that really did feel like opportunities. For one thing, I might never have planned to think this long and hard about virtual online ministry, but here we are. And it did take some time to connect over Zoom, but I know that there were some people I connected with more quickly than I would ever have been able to do at a coffee hour or at a meeting. And perhaps worship became more of a load than I'd planned to carry, but I got to experiment and be creative. And so for every regret, for every person I didn't get to know as well, every worship service that maybe didn't go smoothly, I did also find opportunities. And I'm pretty sure that these are the biggest lessons about ministry and really about life in general. There is never enough time to do everything we want to do. But with a little bit of juggling and perseverance, we can make the most of the opportunities we're given. The time we have is the time we have. All things change, and what holds it all together is love. And right now, the future of this church is a little uncertain, because right now the future of every church and all church is a little uncertain. This church has navigated a pandemic and disruptive ministry, and so we wonder who's drifted away over the past couple of years and who feels disconnected, who has begun to connect, but we don't actually know about them quite yet. And so in some ways, the specifics of who is here and who is part of us might not be as clear as it normally would be. And the leadership, there are many changes there with departures and arrivals happening over the coming weeks and months. And so between the congregation and the leadership, perhaps it is hard to envision what this church will look like next year or the year after that. And perhaps that is unsettling. But even though I'm leaving, I find myself looking ahead for this community with curiosity and with wonder, and I hope that you do too. The uneasy transitions and turmoil of the past couple of years might have seen those moments of regrets and what-ifs for you too, not just for me. But I do hope that as you all look ahead, you see challenges that are opportunities and places to explore and to experiment. And I've been thinking a lot lately about the continuity of church even through changes. For those of you who have been here for years or perhaps decades, how many ministers have you seen come and go? And how many interns? Every year, newcomers walk in the door. Every year, babies are born. Every year, young people bridge and go on to whatever their future lives might be. Every year, people leave through the ordinary departures of moving or more painful ones, such as death. And yet, the church remains. Like the ship of Theseus, bits and pieces add and subtract, but the ship keeps going. The love and the care you have for one another continues, even as the makeup of the church changes. And that love spreads beyond these walls through our virtual church life, through social justice work, and through all of our own individual ordinary lives in our communities. And that love has gotten us through the past couple of years, perhaps imperfectly, as we are only human, but here we are, together this morning. When my partner Chris moved up to the Boston area, I was not ready to move with them. And so we did the road trip thing in their U-Haul with all of their stuff, and after a few days, I went to the airport to fly back to Texas. And I sniffled on the train ride all the way to Logan, and so did Chris, and we were dabbing our eyes in the airport, and then we started sobbing in the airport with the crying and the hiccups and the dramatic, I don't know what I'm gonna do kinds of statements. And then I heard the announcement that my flight was canceled. And I had to text Chris and my friends to come back and get me, and I got to stay for one more night. And at the airport again, the following day, we just got the giggles. You can't do dramatic, tearful departures 2 days in a row without feeling ridiculous. And we already don't take ourselves particularly seriously. And I did ask if I could share that story, because that's good ministerial practice, and Chris cracked up and said, I tell that story all the time, it's hilarious. And so knowing that I'm not quite walking out the door yet makes it hard to say goodbye without feeling just a little bit silly. But I know that this is the moment, that I need to say it from this spot during the regular church year. So I'm gonna take the opportunity to do it so that I don't miss my chance if any one of you aren't at summer services or somewhere else where I will say goodbye. And so I want to say thank you, and that I love you all, and that I will miss you very much. Thank you for holding me in your love and in your care in our time together.
Yeah, she got Kleenex. I didn't get Kleenex. Got to find my place. Somewhere in here. Here we go. Our congregation exists and thrives through the gifts of those who call this place their spiritual home. If you're here with us in the sanctuary, you may put your gift in the collection plate as it goes by. Otherwise, you may make a gift online or send a check. Please give as generously as you are willing and able to support the ongoing work of UUCR and to support YARN, the Young Adult Survival Network. If this is your first time with us, please let the plate pass you by. Your presence is gift enough.
I'm Melissa Martin, your Member Services and Volunteer Coordinator and the Interim Congregational Administrator. My pronouns are she and her. Please check our online calendar for the weekly update with this week's opportunities to gather online or in person. They include conversations with Katie, social crafty fun, Buddhist meditation, lunchtime chat with Nancy, Cafe Nero with Katie, Bread and Roses meal prep, and our men's group. And I have 3 save the dates for you. Please consider joining us a week from this Saturday when we march to the North Shore Pride Parade on Saturday the 25th. Please reach out to Martha Moore or myself for the details. There's also a Pride Car Parade this afternoon right here in Reading. If you'd like to hang out along the parade route, there's information both at entrances. If you have planned to attend this year's UUA General Assembly and you wish to be considered a delegate representing our congregation, please let me know. The assembly is called Meet the Moment, Reimagining Radical Faith Community, and it's being held in person and in virtual online from June 22nd through June 26th. Finally, please save the date for this year's Kris Kringle Fair on Saturday, October 15th. Start saving your jewelry, attic treasures, silent auction items, toys, children's books, country store, and boutique donations. Your time and treasures will be needed to make this in-person fair a success. Next Sunday, we'll celebrate our flower communion service, so think about what flower you might want to bring, more information in the update. This service will also feature our special farewell to our beloved Sally as she retires at the end of this month. We'll also bid farewell to our dear Deb as she completes her time as our transitional ministry associate. Finally, obviously, we will celebrate Katie for her internship ends before the summer begins. And so please plan on staying for that social hour to bid your farewells. You also want to look for the summer service brochure this week. It is, the series will be led by Katie all summer, broadly based on themes with multiple readings and a short sermon designed to spark conversation. And following those services, in-person participants will be invited to grab a drink and circle around to go deeper together. In the conversation circle that follows, we'll share our joys and our sorrows, offer one another our thoughts on the theme for that Sunday, and deepen our connections to one another. Our online friends will be able to view this service part, and if there's interest, we can create an online conversation circle space. So email me if that option is of interest to you. Friends who are joining us online today, you're invited to a Zoom social hour facilitated by Tom Model, and those here with us in the sanctuary are invited to stay for our expanded social hour to welcome our newest member, Andrea, whose introductory bio can be found in your order of service. Food and beverages have been set up by our RE team in Fellowship Hall with seating available outdoor on this beautiful day. So come celebrate with us. Thank you all for being a vital part of our congregational life.
We've come to the closing hymn, and I want to thank our guest pianist, Joe Beninati, for his wonderful work with us today. Thank you, Joe, for being here. And this may be the moment you've all been waiting for. We get to sing Blue Boat Home, okay? So 1064 if you're following along in the teal hymnal, or just sing your hearts out to the words in the order of service. Please rise in body of spirit.
Ocean.
Please join me now in our Chalice extinguishing words in your order of service and online. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts. Friends, companions, and fellow travelers, may the peace that passes understanding keep our hearts and our minds in the knowledge of love. And may that peace be yours in the week to come. Blessed be, and go in peace.